One time.
I do want to ask you both a couple questions because, in a way, we have Denver represented and we have Boulder represented, and you work in Boulder, but you live in Denver. So, let's start with you, Sam. How do the two cannabis communities compare? You have Denver, and it's big, and it's big-ish. And Boulder, 32 miles up the road,
Sure.
and it's a very different world, so much so that natives call it the People's Republic of Boulder.
It absolutely is, the Boulder bubble. I'd start by mentioning the sheer volume of traffic. There's such a limited number of dispensaries in comparison to Denver. Denver, it's, I think, what the count is right now, 350 more?
I've lost track. It just keeps,
yeah.
and owning a shop in Denver and competing with those other places, it's, even though I don't consider it competition, it's just like restaurants, but my word, it's, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And it's hard to keep track. Whereas in Boulder, for example, they have really limited growth legislation. So, getting property and also registering yourself as a cannabis distributor there is extremely more painful and rigorous, and it's just so limited, like getting a liquor license.
I know a lot of people were surprised when we came up on January 1st, 2014, and you did not have recreational sales in Boulder until a couple months in, if I remember correct. And people were like, wait a minute, Boulder and Aspen? There's no weed in Boulder and Aspen?
That's where I'd think to go first, right?
Yeah.
There are some really quality dispensaries there, but it took a long time coming. And previously, I think about 6 or 7 years ago, they did have medical marijuana, then they revoked it, and then they came back and reinstated it. So they basically wiped out all of the licenses for a lot of different companies there that either decided to come back and return and fight through that again, or basically just give up.
So Denver's the big brother, the older brother.
Yeah.
Is Boulder the younger, scrappier sister? Because it seems like there's a lot of development going on in Boulder.
There are some rules for the cultivation rules in Boulder. There's renewable energy requirements,
right?
And I don't know about the accuracy of this statement, but it's my understanding that in Boulder you can't have cool hats that have your dispensary name on them, even if there's no green cross or pot leaf. You can't have T-shirts. You can't have a lighter that you can't.
No accessories.
You can't promote.
No promotional.
You can't promote your business.
That was a huge issue in Longmont recently too. They basically put on the side of the highway this just massive green cross sign for a dispensary and had people standing, what do you call them, sign twirlers, and they completely got shut down. And it's just that raised so many new questions.
Kind of goes back to the advertising restrictions that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Well, you spend a lot of time in both Denver and Boulder. Where do you do the majority of your shopping? Are you a member at a shop in Boulder or Denver, and if so, where?
To be perfectly honest, I'd like to diversify. Doing this much traveling, there's so many different options, and it's great to be able to sample everybody's supply and everybody's what they present, because again, it's especially entering into this business, it's our responsibility to be aware of all of the different strains, business actions, not actions, but business how people run their business, essentially. You know, it's partially the experience, it's partially the quality of the product, it's partially about the customer service. And you just see such a wide variation. It's interesting because you'll literally go into like the Walmart of cannabis, and then you'll go into a small boutique shop that has strains that you've never seen before. And so I would not like to name any names, but bottom line is I like to sample around town.
Well, I'm going to ask you to name names.
Okay, all right.
Because here we go. I mentioned earlier that there are some shops that have a great reputation, and you hear about them before you've been there. There is a Boulder shop I've heard a lot about, heard a lot of good things, and I want your honest opinion. John, if you've been there, I want your honest opinion. But The Farm.
The Farm is fantastic. I think that they're actually one of our first partners. They ordered a bunch of our bags to private label. So shout out to The Farm. They have an amazing retail experience, and they actually have recreational and medicinal split between two shops. And they're on opposite sides of town, but they provide two completely unique experiences that are just honestly top shelf. I would honestly rep them as one of the better dispensaries in this area.
It comes highly recommended, as did Legal. Finally got to Legal last week, and I will hopefully make it to The Farm soon.